Hey everybody, it's Chris again with KMGB Consulting, and today I'm going to talk about actually being on the ground and what to look for if you're out there looking at houses and condos in different markets. The nice thing about this presentation is you can apply it to anything. If you are out buying your own home, whether it's in Canada, the States, or whatever for your own personal self, you can use this as a checklist, especially when you're looking around and see some of the things that over the years I've pointed out to people that are things that can be very costly, but some things that can be fixed quickly and make some fast money. So I call this my 10 top inspection, or top 10 inspection list. Here we go. The first thing is we want to take a look at the grounds in the surrounding area, then the foundation, exterior, especially in the States, bugs and pests, but if anybody's in the beaches area here in Toronto, you want to take a look at that too. They've actually been tracking, actually Aetna has been tracking the migration of termites through the beaches for about the last 78 years, so they know exactly where they are and when and if they will be in the vicinity of the house that you're buying. But anyway, obviously plumbing, electrical, they call it HVAC, which is just your heating and cooling. Basement, that's more in Canada. You'll find in the States, there's not a lot of them that have basements. Appliances, and then finding the attic. So here we go. Now the big thing is we're going to start off is that don't be afraid. You see a house like this, what you're going to find is most people, all they do is take a look at this and they throw their hands up, and they certainly aren't going to buy something like this. Just because it's boarded up and it's ugly, and in this case looks like it's in really rough shape. You can take a look at this, and for those of you too that haven't seen that, you can go to and I'll put up a link right now. You can go to one of our successful clients and see what Mike has done with something not really as bad shape as this, but certainly has done extremely well with something that's in a little rougher shape, because you're going to find there's tremendous value in these, just because the price to get things fixed up down there is a lot cheaper than what we're used to up here in Canada. But anyway, don't be afraid of these things. If you've ever watched Flip That's Home or things, a lot of times is they'll take out these bushes, they'll clean it up. It's paint a lot of times, and a little bit of fixing. Next you know, $5,000–$10,000 worth of work, and you got yourself a nice little place. Another example, this one where the door's wide open, and that happens a lot down there. But you can go down there and take a look, see what kind of value is in here. You can bring in people to inspect this and give you a concrete number on what it's going to take to fix it up. You can take that and look and compare at other properties. Again too, for those of you that haven't seen my little comparison video or how to do quick screening of this, you can go to the link below or just www.zillow.com. It's a great little, what I call a quick screen, and it can help you quickly go through a property, assess it, see if there's any value. Again too, it's dirt. This could have some mold issues in that, but again too, you don't have to clean this up. It can be torn out, it can be cleaned up, it can be painted. There's a variety of ways that we can get this into certainly a place that makes this marketable, especially if you're going to flip the home and or if you're going to rent it, clean it up. Again too, you're going to find it shocking what kind of prices down there to get things fixed up. I have contractors that have been in the business for over 35 years, and I'm paying $12 an hour. That would be comparable to contractors I have up here that I'm paying $45 an hour. And yes, I'm sure you've seen it, the Hoarders on TV. Yes, there's properties that look like that down there. It's unbelievable. Again too, clean out the junk. Someone else does it. It's not you. You're not the one living there. There can be tremendous value, and about 90% of the people have already walked by this. This is when you can make a lot of money, when you look at this with different eyes. Again too, some more things. You don't have to deal with it. Someone else will clean it up for you at at very, very reasonable rates. Get that stuff out of there, clean it up, and away you go. Some other ones. The nice thing about the one on the right is you get at least a free TV. But yes, people live in these kind of conditions down there. It's unbelievable. The big thing is though, and here it is, for those of us, we use the word renovation up here in Canada. We need to start using terms that they're familiar with down there, and the term that they use is rehab instead of renovation. If you have a Z or a Z in your name, you want to start using the word Z, and you want to be careful using the word A. They call it a It's just an instant giveaway that you're Canadian when you're down there. Anyway, right before your eyes, this is a renovation. I'm taking this place and bang, this is what you can have. A really cheap renovation. The place looks nice and clean, rentable, and away you go for either a quick flip or for a, there's several options. Again, too, I had just a recent video, lease to own or rent to own, lease option, or just a long-term rental property. You know, you come into a place like this is what it looks like. This is what it can look like. You've got appliances in there, believe it or not. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stackable washer and dryer, but 5 appliances. This has actually got the ice machine in there. All of these appliances from scratch and dent, but basically are brand new, are in the $800 to $900 area for them all up here in Canada. If you picked up something like that, it's easy to pay $700, $800 just for the refrigerator. The cabinets in there are about $800 to $1,000. Not a lot of cabinets, but that's everything. That's with the sink installed. That's with the countertop. Everything in tremendously reasonable prices compared to what we see up here in Canada. Okay, so the one thing I'm starting out with when you're looking at properties, whether it's condos, whether it's homes, you want to take a serious look around the condo. We're going to talk about taking a look around the grounds and also the surrounding area. Surrounding area, you want to kind of look up and down the street. If you can, you go in and talk to people on the street, get an idea, get a feel what kind of area it is. Is it safe? Is there any things happening at night? A lot of times too, taking a look at the cars in the driveway. If you're there during the day, let's say anywhere between 10 o'clock and 4 o'clock, you know, are there lots of cars in the driveway? That possibly means that there's not people working, so it might not be the greatest area. And what kind of cars? You know, are they BMWs? Are they older, beaten up cars? Again, too, gives you an idea what's in the area and what kind of amenities are in the area. Is there schools in the area? Is there, down there it's typically a Publix, which is sort of like a Loblaws or a grocery store up here. You know, what exactly is in the immediate area which will make it easy for people to get groceries or different things. But right here, we've got some concern here because you see a big tree here. It would be easy for someone to come up that tree, jump into this balcony, and get into this home. In fact, there's a lot of burglars and different things that will, people lots of times, if they're on second, third stories, you know, they'll leave their doors open. I know I've done that myself, but here you've got an instant access for someone to get into the home and break in. Plus, proximity to your foundation in that with these big trees, a lot of times the root systems, in fact, the rule of thumb is whatever the size of the canopy is, typically the root base is twice. So you get an idea that the roots for this type of tree are probably well in or under the foundation. There's a lot of trees down there that can cause a lot of damage. So take a look around, see what you see. Things like this, again, too, get people in there, clean it up, pull out the fence, reposition the fence, you know, strengthen the fence, just get rid of the fence. All this is trash, you know, clean it up, get rid of the weeds and different things. Again, too, a lot of people will pass by this property, they don't see it. For probably $30, $40, you can get someone in there and clean this all up and get it all taken away. And the next thing you know, you've got some value, you've got some curb appeal. Grounds, too, this is always my fun thing. This is, if you're in Florida or some of these places, there are some species that you may not want. This is for, you may have already seen this on one of my videos, but this is, I just got something from the condo board, and they just said that beware, there's an alligator on the property. This is actually a 6-foot alligator. So you want to, you know, they're down there. You want to make sure to be careful of, you know, what's there as far as waters and that these very scary little things are hanging around down there. So you want to make sure, take a look for some of the things that you may not normally see here in Canada. They're down there. Next thing too, really important, is the foundation. You can see this foundation is in really rough shape. It's cobblestone. It's all falling apart. You've got some brick here which is sitting on an older foundation. You don't see this a whole lot down there because a lot of stuff is built on slab, which is they just pour a big concrete slab, and sometimes you hear it as slab on grade, and away they go. They don't have to deal with snow and ice like we do up here in Canada. But you want to take a look around it. Make sure there's not any problems with the foundation. So once around the foundation, take a look. Again, too, if there are problems like this, it can be very expensive to fix. There's another sort of look at another foundation. Again, you've got a pour, concrete pour on an old foundation. This is something too for those of you at home. I have some rental properties out in near a school, a university, or what happens is you'll have a lot of the pipes are coming down here, and then you should have an extension pipe. It should be at least 4 feet, or for those of you that are metric, somewhere around maybe maybe a meter or so away from the foundation. What you'll see in this kind of circumstances, and this is always happening to me around the university, the kids get out there and they knock these things off, and the water comes pouring down here. It starts to collect here. Next thing you know, it can start to run into your house. You get flooding, and you get all sorts of problems, especially if the water gets down there in the winter with cracks in the foundation, all that. And a simple solution is just to get that extension and bring it about 3 or 4 feet away, and make sure the water is being channeled away from the foundation. This too, you can see that this is a place, you can see the problems of the foundation. This is a rebar, which is a metal piece that is obviously supposed to be in there to support the concrete. Obviously, when they poured this footing, they call it, they've missed the entire piece of rebar. They put a little piece, a support piece in here, which is certainly not to code, and certainly not, you can actually see, it's hard to see, but this is actually sloping slightly down. You've got it wide open here, so certainly down in the States or Canada, doesn't matter. There's, raccoons, all sorts of different kinds of animals can get in there. Certainly not what you want to see. So again, once around the foundation, taking a look. Exterior, several different exteriors down there. We're going to talk a little bit about roofing. You can see right here, there's different codes here, but you can see they have 1, 2, 3, maybe 4, maybe 5 layers of shingles on it. Again, too, probably in most places in Canada and in the States, this is not to code. To get rid of this stuff is extremely heavy. You might find that when you have to dispose of this, it can be very, very expensive. In Kingston, I was doing some renovations on a house, in Kingston, Ontario. One year we had $200 to dump great 8-foot by 10-foot bins. They were being dumped in the Kingston dump. The next year they closed the Kingston dump, and they were now taking them out to Ottawa, something we didn't budget for, but it was now $1,000 to get rid of one of these things. So this can be expensive to get rid of some of this. So you certainly want to make sure you take a look up. Shingles, different. Obviously, this one is in very, very poor shape. Probably been sitting there 30, 40 years. Most likely this roof is leaking. You can see it's in bad condition. Again, too, don't be afraid of something like this. It can all be fixed, but does it make sense? You want to look at surrounding properties. Again, too, you can take a look at that video, one of my videos, and show how to do a rough screen and some of the prices that people are paying to fix up properties. Some nice cedar shingles. This is how they start, nice and brown, really, really nice colors, and then eventually they look like this. They start to gray over time, unless they're coated. But it doesn't seem matter what you do to get them to keep them this nice brown color. It seems over time. Again, too, you've got all sorts of things that are growing in here too. So you want to make sure you take a look up and make sure there's no leaks. This is the big ceramic roofs, sometimes the Spanish tiles. There was a big craze in California at one point because these tiles were actually at one point handmade, mainly by people from Mexico, and they used to use their upper thigh, and they would mold them on their upper thigh, and they became kind of a bit of a craze at one point. But again, too, you want to take a look at, is everything intact? A lot of times this can be repairable. A lot of times it can be very expensive, and if there's some serious problems to get rid of this and change it, can be very expensive. Plus, the weight of this is extreme, so you really want to make sure that your roof has been supported. We'll talk about attics in a moment, but you want to make sure your roof is supported so that it can handle this weight. I've definitely seen these, because of the weight, I've seen roofs, unsupported roofs, all sag in the middle. So you can see that a lot of times if you get back from the property and take a look. There's composite shingles now. There's all sorts of different things. There's tremendous value in some of these things because they basically last a lifetime. It might be a decision you make depending on what you're going to do. If you're going to flip it, maybe you don't want to go to this extreme expense. But if it's something you might want to buy and hold, you fix the roof once and you probably won't have to deal with it for 50, 60 years. On the exterior too, they call this a stairway crack. Sometimes this is just a patch. Sometimes there's some real problems. You can see right here that the foundation or this wall is starting to move this way. It looks to me like this could be some problems. This whole piece looks like it's moving away, and if you remember what I was telling you, there's the downspout there. The water's been pouring here, and absolutely what happens, it starts to move. The foundation can start to move. You can see the height here of the ground as compared to here. It doesn't take long for it to wash, and that could be the reason why this whole thing is shifting. So something as simple as putting a extension on here could have really helped the circumstances. So you really want to take a look around. And don't forget to look up. Expensive work. Getting this stuff sometimes torn down, or possibly this is cracking. It can fall. It can be a real hazard, obviously, if it's going to fall on somebody there. So take a look up. Get back from the property. Take a look. And if you can, on a lot of these places, you can actually get up, or a ladder. Make sure none of this is meant to. It's just meant for you to be aware. It's certainly not taking place of you absolutely getting a professional in there and looking at the different things here and getting their professional opinion on what it would cost and what things need to be repaired. Exterior, here, this could be some serious problems. You can see they've tried to hide it here. Most likely they've just covered it with some sort of, in this case it looks like some sort of aluminum siding. Certainly not a great job, but you can see there's some real problems here. This could be, it could be insects, it could be wood rot. We're going to talk about insects and different things and damages they can do. It looks to me like this could be maybe a combination of a couple of things. Once the wood gets rot, once it gets wet, you can have all sorts of problems. Again, too, it's fixable, but at what cost? Does it make sense? If it does, move forward. Bugs and pests, big thing down in Florida. There's a lot of problems with all sorts of things down there. We have some problems here in Canada, but not as much as you'll see down there. And let's just talk a little bit about that. Certainly walking around the outside, a lot of the exterior is wood. We don't see that as much up here in Canada. You see down there, there's obviously something that's inhabiting this place right here. And who knows what's up there. Okay, they have a really nice name for cockroaches down there, and they call them palmetto bugs. And this is a palmetto bug in Florida. It's not something to be alarmed at, but we're not really used to seeing that down there. And even in the higher end communities, because they are around, you'll see them all over the place. A lot of times, if the place has been left for a while, they do like a spray bomb on them and try to clear them out of roaches. It's a little more acceptable down there than it is certainly up here. But anyway, it's something to be aware of. It's not a big deal. They can get them cleaned up. It's at a reasonable price. Usually they just buy, looks like a tin of paint, and they just bomb them. They open them up on the floors, and it kills almost everything in sight. So this, there you have it, the scary cockroach. But anyway, don't be afraid of this stuff. It's there. It can be cleaned. They can move it. Remember, you're not the one that's living there. And this is going to be, and it's something that most people are, they're used to them being around, and they have a nice name. Termites, you'll see this. I wanted to show you some termite damage. I mean, this is extensive termite damage here. You can see that they've been in here. It's not too clear here, but obviously some extensive. A lot of the structures down there are wood. I certainly, if you can buy concrete structures, it's certainly a better value for your dollar. You're going to pay a little bit more, but again, too, you get the proper inspectors in there. They know what they're looking for. But I'm going to just show you some signs of termites. There's some termite damage here. You can see it right here. They're starting to get into here. This is some extensive termite damage on the outside. The termites, believe it or not, are very smart. They eat right up to the paint. So they are amazing little creatures, and they can really hide their tracks. That's why you don't fool around with this sort of stuff. You absolutely get a professional in. But here's some of the things just that when you're on your your tours and you're looking at places, if you're on the ground, you can take a look for some of these telltale sales again, or tails. Here you have termite damages. They call these little mud tunnels that they create to get into the wood. I'll show you some more of that in a minute. These are mud tunnels, so the termites come out of the ground. They built a mud tunnel right here up the side. It gets them into the wood, and now away they go. They're in your house. Looks like the termites have come through the cracks here, building the mud tunnels. They're moving around. They're trying to find, they're trying to find a place to live, and they're moving towards. They're looking for obviously wood. Funny, we're getting, or not funny, but we're into the plumbing. This is nice. You've got 4 separate meters here, all with nice shutoffs. This is all nice copper. This is one of the places that, if you've got a multi-unit, this is great because then you can charge each tenant individually and get them to be paying for their own water. Something I do strongly suggest. In certain cases, most of the places I have in Florida, I mean pretty well all, I think, except for one, the tenants are paying all the utilities. I want the responsibility on their side. The air conditioning down there and that, for those of you that have been in the rental business, you know how that goes. If they're not paying for it, they can keep the doors open, the windows open, and having the air conditioning 24/7. So plumbing, there's a couple things I want you to take a look for. You get some mixed plumbing down there. You can see there's some copper. This is good with a nice shutoff. It's copper coming in. But you've got some different plumbing here. All this is to code. There's nothing wrong with this, but you just want to be aware. This is cast. They've now got some PVC or plastic. You want to make sure it's done by a professional. A lot of times bathrooms and things, especially in the basement, are put in by the homeowners. You want to make sure that they are up to code and you're not going to have any problems. This is obviously someone that's amateur, has no understanding of plumbing. You've obviously got some kind of a sink up here. You've got the water coming down, and for those of you who have ever looked under a sink, they have what they call a P-trap. The water comes down here. It goes back up in a U or a P sort of shape, and then it goes into the soil pipe or goes towards the sewer. Why is this a problem? Because what happens is there's called sewer gas. It's a methane gas, and it can come right up here. The reason for the P-trap is it has water in it, so that it can't go any further. It stops, the gas stops here, but in this case the gas can come, it moves up here, it goes right up, and then it comes straight up your sink. And then for those of you who've ever smelled, it's a weird sort of smelling. It's not rotten eggs, but if you've ever been in basements, it has sort of a strange odor, and it's hard to find out where it comes from. It's a fairly light gas, and when you have something like this is the problem. So you want to take a look. This is again too probably a sink or something that someone's put in, and obviously not to code. This is something too, I'm always, when I was looking at places here in Toronto, Canada, I always come here, I have my key and I pull it out, and I would always be scratching down here, and I can't tell you how many realtors would ask me, what am I doing, what am I doing? And what I'm doing there is, if you scratch, this is lead pipe, if you scratch a lead pipe with a key, it automatically goes shiny. So you can tell right away if it's lead or copper. So this one here has got a lead pipe coming in from the street. You've obviously got a shutoff valve here, which is copper. And the copper is now connected to cast. So you've got 3 different types. You know what? The lead's been there for a long time, but there's all concern now about lead, especially if you have children and that. So if you're looking for places on your own, you want to make sure that there's not lead coming into the house. A lot of the places here in Canada, they've been changed over. Over here you can see they've got a copper pipe coming in. That's good news. It comes in, it comes to the valve here, and away it goes. There's the good shutoff valve here too. So just something to be aware, especially if you're looking at your own home here in Toronto or Canada or wherever you are. There's a lot of this still out there, so it's fairly costly to get it replaced, so you want to take a look at that. Plumbing here, this is absolutely not to code. They've cut this, in this case is about a 5.5-inch hole in here. The integrity of these beams is probably not in the same place as it was before. There's all sorts of interesting things. This most likely isn't even the right kind of pipe here, and whether they've even used the proper glues and that. The other concern that you have is if you're going to finish this, it's easy to put a nail, and that nail goes right up into this. and you've got leaks and all sorts of problems. But something just to be aware of when you're looking for, especially if you've got open ceilings. Okay, this is a mess in the electrical. You can see all sorts of stuff. The electrical is running around the. You can see they've got PVC. You can see there they've got cast iron. There's some copper there. There's another copper. Obviously a mess. This is obviously not done by a professional. This is a dead giveaway, but we're going to take a look at some electrical things too. If you can, open up the panel and take a look at the panel for yourself. Be very careful, obviously, again, too. You want an expert to look at this. This one isn't too bad, but there's some morettes in there, which is absolutely illegal. Morettes are those little things. They're all different colors, but the typical ones you see are yellow, and what they do is connect wires together. So you can see right there, there's a couple of yellow morettes. Telltale sign that someone's been in here that's not a professional. If you look carefully, there's another one there, there's another one there, there's another one there. So I want to take a quick look at the panel. Also too, if you're looking at the panel, is there any space in the panel so that you can put in other circuits in that? So if you do something on your own, especially for your own home, do you have some space, or are you going to have to upgrade it to a different service size? Again, too, you can see there's a moret too. It probably was black or something, or in this case it looks like it was red. This is obviously not what you want to see. There's been some problem. It's been taped. It's a mess. It's a fire hazard, ready to go. Also, too, if you look really carefully here, you can see there's a variety of wires here, which is a real no-no. There is aluminum right there, and there's copper wire there. Certainly you want to make sure that if you're doing, is aluminum very scary? I mean, they've got all sorts of things. I'm not an expert on it, but there's a lot of aluminum wire houses that are fine, just as long as you're using the correct connectors and the correct switches. Most people don't even realize this, but you can buy different connectors. It says right on it for aluminum wire only or for copper wire only. Certainly like this, this was just an open exposed box. You can see you've got all sorts of problems in here too. Can be very costly. In Canada, if someone comes through this on an inspection, when you have this kind of thing, you would have problems with getting insurance on the property. This is something that is really, well, this is a GFI, which is a ground fault interrupter. You'll see this on kitchen counters and that because it has a secondary circuit in case there is some kind of water damage. You'll see these in bathrooms and that if there's water, so it protects anybody and then shuts off right here at the source before it even gets down to the panel. There's a little tester, and then it has a little breaker in there. This is what you want to see around your kitchens and your bathrooms, especially if anything is close to the sink. And the really important thing, when you're looking into basements, especially here in Canada, if you're out there looking at basements for yourself, you'll see that there's, it's just a telltale whether you have a professional in there that's done the wiring or not, just by the height of the different receptacles. So if you see some of them at about 6 inches from the ground or 15 centimeters, the standard height is somewhere between 12 inches, 1 foot, to about 30 centimeters high. Certainly if you see them at all different heights, it's a pretty good indication that maybe the owner or a friend of the family has put in the electrical and it's not to code, and there could be all sorts of problems. So just in a simple inspection in the basement, we'll get that in a minute too, about some other things to look for. But on the electrical, that's important to take a look at. Heating and cooling, you want to take a look at how old the different pieces are in there. You can see this has been sitting for a while. You've got obviously rust and different things. Well, this is moving through your house. You certainly don't want that for yourself, and you don't want that for your tenants. You see this more in Canada, but these are big old oil tanks, very costly to get out. Usually you have to cut them with a torch because the way these went in is they put them in and then they built the house almost around them. They'll have to be drained of oil. So you just want to see, that's again two more probably things that we'd see here in Canada than we'd see down there in the States. This though is very important, and it's your air condition. Down there, things, there's still some tough times down there. Employment is, there's some concerns down there. It's easy for people to come here and they're just going to cut these wires and they take a a $2,000 or $3,000 air conditioner, they take it to some place, some pawn store or whatever, or sell it to somebody, and they make themselves a few dollars. So you absolutely want to have your air conditioning secured. For somewhere around $100, $150, you can put a nice security on it, bolt it down, make sure that the air conditioning is going to be there when you leave. Okay, important down there, especially in Florida. This is what asbestos looks like. There's all different types. Type 1, 2, 3. This is a type 3 asbestos. This isn't the real dangerous stuff out there, but if people see asbestos, they get all concerned. So it's just something to be aware of. Typically, asbestos is running around your pipes. If you've got heating, some of the old rads, you'll see that a lot more here in Canada, the rads, which has got the hot water rads that all heat up the homes. You'll see this in the basement. This is a little bit of concern too, because it's obviously frayed. You want to wrap that. There's places that can wrap it with plastic and seal it, so it's not going to be a problem. You can see basement. Obviously, you got some problems here with some unique step designs here. So you want to get down your basement, see what's sort of going on. There's a hose in there. You want to see what that's all involved. But take a look at your basement. Really important. This is a concern right away. You've got it's not even, people think, oh yeah, this is a concern because it's just obviously an old tree trunk or whatever that's in there. The big concern here is not that. The big concern is that this is wood on wood, and this, I've seen it many times where the termites can come in. They actually come in the ground. They'll come right up through this. You will not see any signs. They come right up through here and get into your house, and then you've got some serious problems. So you want to take a look at your basement, see structurally what it looks like. Remember too to take a look at the different heights of the plugs and receptacles too. Important here, if you are looking through and on ground and looking for houses, if you can, you want to take a picture of the appliances. People don't think of this, but there are some differences down in the States. You sign a contract saying, that the appliances are there. There's a microwave, there's a stove, there's a refrigerator. This is what you saw in the house, this is what you thought you bought, and this is what you end up getting because you didn't realize that people can switch things on you. So there's still legally a refrigerator or stove in there, and if you don't have photos or if you can get serial numbers, even better, then at least you have something. But a stove is a stove is a stove. And at the end of the day, this is a way that people can do some sneaky things on you and take advantage of you. So you want to make sure that you're well documented. Make sure you get pictures of different things so that you do have the right pieces when you purchase it, or as you've seen it, and you do receive what you have purchased. Attic, really important too. Take a look at the attic, what's sort of going on in the attic. If you can get up in some of the attics and take a look, you got all sorts of interesting things up here. So you want to take a look. You've got some cast, you've got some plastic, you've got a different type of plastic here. Probably got a vent from your hot water tank. You want to take a look. This is all open up here. This is some renovations going on here too. So take a look at your attic. A lot of people think this is a great way to keep your attic ventilated, and they're called whirlybirds down in the States. They have different names for these. We have different names for them up here. You got to be very careful of these things. When the wind comes across them, it causes this to turn. It causes a vacuum, and it starts to draw. And the concept is it draws the hot air out of your attic. The problem, if your attic isn't in a functional way, you need some, they call it vented soffits, but you need some holes in here so that it can draw air through here and nicely vent your attic. If you have everything all closed down, which is often the case, these things are powerful things. They create a vacuum in your home, and they'll start drawing air from wherever they can. If you've ever been in a home and you look around the registers, or where you get your hot and cold air that are usually sitting on the floor, or if you look on your receptacles and you see that they're black all around the receptacles, it's because this type of system is so powerful. It's looking for anywhere to pull air from. If it can't get it from the attic, it starts to pull it. In some cases, it can pull it from your fireplace. So your fireplace obviously has, it's got a hole in the top with your chimney, and this thing can start to pull actually air from outside through the chimney and bring it back through here, which means gosh knows what it's pulling through your house, and that's why a lot of times you'll see these black pieces around these your receptacles and that, because it's actually pulling air from the outside through cracks and foundations, cracks all over the place in your house, because it's the only place that it can get air. So sometimes not the greatest thing. Again, too, you want an expert to take a look, make sure that they've got the proper ventilation system in here set up so you don't run into those problems. The other thing is, why are we doing this? It's always important. It's all exciting, all this U.S. real estate, but why are we doing this? Remember your why. Is it to build wealth for you? But what is the wealth for? Is that to, get you retirement earlier, your family, friends, whatever it is. Remember why you're doing all this. And finally, what's coming up next? I've got another video coming up real soon, some information packed again on how to build your real estate business and ideas you can put together and put to work immediately for you. As always, please leave your comments below. Thanks for your attendance, and if you like this, please share it with your friends. Bye for now.